Hello friends, in this lecture we will see that how we are going to represent a queuing model. So basically in a queuing model what you have learned that there is a calling population. Okay, there is a calling population from where people arrives and just join the queue. So there is a calling population. Okay, there is also, you can say, a system. Okay, there is a system. It means that the persons who are standing in the queue plus the customer who is getting the service. Okay, also there is a service rule that whether you are following first in first out, you are following service in random, okay, you are following priority distribution, or you are following last in first out. Okay, and you know that there is arrival and there is service pattern or service rate. So the arrival was following Poisson's distribution and the service rate was following exponential distribution. So everything can be represented in one line. Okay, that is known as the representation of queuing model. Okay, so basically there were two scientists. Okay, so basically there were two scientists. So our topic is representation of queuing model. Okay, representation of queuing model. So basically there were two scientists. The name was Kendall and Lee. Okay, so gave that how we are going to represent the queuing model. Okay, whether it is arrival rate or whether it is service pattern rate, whether it is the number of servers. Okay, there can be multiple servers, there can be single servers. Okay, what will be the size of the system, what is going to be the size of the calling population, what is going to be our service rule. So the representation is done. We can write that representation of queuing model was given by Kendall and Lee. Kendall and Lee notations. Kendall and Lee notations. Okay, so basically they gave different notations by which we can represent the queuing model. Okay, so general form is that general form it is written A slash B slash C is to D slash E slash F. So basic representation is given in this form. Okay, where A, B, C, each one of the notations has got its own meaning or its own significance. So it is the basic representation. Okay, it is the basic representation. It is the basic representation where each of the letters has got its own meaning. So when we are saying that what is A, okay, what does A represent? So A represents distribution pattern of arrival. Okay, this A represents the distribution pattern of arrival. We know that it is going to follow the Poisson's distribution. So here we are going to write that arrival is going to follow the Poisson's distribution or any other distribution. So the first letter that is A, it represents the distribution pattern of arrival. Okay, second is B. Second letter is B. So it represents the distribution pattern. It represents the distribution pattern of service. Okay, first the people will arrive and then they will get the service. So this A represents the arrival pattern and this B represents the service distribution pattern. What is this C? This C represents that how many servers are there, number of servers. Okay, this C is going to represent the number of servers. It can be a single server or it can be a multi-server. Okay, in multi-server also there can be different servers, whether it can be 2, 3, 4, 5 or anything. Okay, so if here 1 is written, suppose 1 is written. It means that by looking at the representation only, you can see that since the third number is written 1, it means you can think that this queuing model is of single server type. Okay, and if 2 is written, then you will say that 2 servers are there or multi servers are there. So this C represents the number of servers. D represents, this D represents service rule. Okay, you already know the service rule. It can be first in first out, it can be last in first out, it can be priority treatment, or it can be service in random. So this D represent service rule, or it is also known as queue discipline. Okay, it is also known as queue discipline. This fifth one is E. So E represents size of the system. Okay, this E represents size of the system. It can be finite or it can be infinite. Okay, finite queue length or infinite queue length. And this sixth one, that is last, that is F. This F represents size of the calling population. Size of the calling population. Okay, you know that the population or the size of the population, the model was of two kinds. Okay, one was the finite population model and the second one was infinite population model. So we know that the calling population size can be finite or infinite. In case of infinite, we have seen the examples of the doctors, and in case of finite model, we have seen the examples of that maintenance of a job. Okay, maintenance of a job, that only fixed number of people can come and do the maintenance. Okay, anyone cannot arrive and do the maintenance. Okay, so only a fixed number of people are there who are going to do the maintenance of those jobs. So the size of the calling population can be finite or infinite. Okay, so what are going to be the distribution patterns? Okay, what can be written here? Okay, just by looking at those numbers or those distribution or those notations, we can find that okay, this is going to be this type of pattern, one single server or multiple server. By looking at this D, we can see that what is going to be the queue discipline or service rule, what is going to be the size of the system, what is going to be the size of the calling population. Okay, so what can be those possibilities? So for A and B, okay, for A and B, the first one was A and B. Okay, A was representing the distribution pattern of arrival and B was representing the distribution pattern of service. So for A and B, there can be two possibilities. Mainly there can be two possibilities. Okay, so it can be M. Okay, M is written there or there E is written. Okay, at the place of A, you will find that either M is written or either E is written. M represents Markovian distribution for arrival or service. Okay, M is Markovian distribution. Markovian distribution is also known as, it can be Poisson distribution or it can be exponential distribution. But Markovian one of the scientists, okay, who find those things. Okay, that whether it is going to be Poisson distribution or whether it is going to be the exponential distribution. So in place of M, in place of A or B, M can be written. So just by looking at M, okay, you will say that it is following the Markovian distribution. Okay, E can be also written. E is Erlangian or simply gamma distribution. Erlangian or gamma distribution for both, it can be for arrival or service. Okay, so in place of A and B, you will find M or E. So by M, it means Markovian, or by E, you can say Erlangian or gamma distribution. Okay, the second one was C. Okay, so C, you know that it represents the number of servers. So C can be either 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. It can be anything. If one is there, you will say single server. Okay, one means single server, and more than one, it means it is a multi-server model. Okay, it is a multi-server model. So in place of C, you will find these numbers. Okay, the next one was the third was D. This D was representing the Q discipline or the service rule. So for D, it can be FIFO, first in first out. It can be LIFO, last in first out. It can be zero, service in random, or it can be priority treatment. Okay, so in place of D, you can find these 4 types of possibilities. And the last one was E and F. E was for size of the system, and F means size of the calling population. So it can be both finite or infinite. So if n is written, okay, it means you will say that the size is going to be finite, and if infinity is given, then you will say it is okay, it is going to be infinite. So these are the possibilities which are going to replace those A, B, C, D, E and F. Okay, in place of these alphabets, you are going to find these things, these black color written things. Either it can be M, E, it can be those numbers, it can be those service rule, or it can be N means finite or infinity means infinite. So we are taking one example. Suppose this is written like this. Okay, so from here you will conclude that the arrival rate is Markovian distribution. Okay, in place of A, M is written. It means it is saying that the arrival rate is following Markovian distribution. This number E, it shows that Erlangian distribution for service rate. Okay, Erlangian distribution or gamma distribution. 2 means 2 servers. Okay, 2 servers are there in the system. Okay, or you will say multi-server, first in first out. You already know this represents the Q discipline. Okay, this represents the Q discipline, or it represents the service rule. It means it is going to follow first in first out. Okay, size of the system is finite. Okay, finite size of the system, and the last one is infinity. It means it is showing that size of the calling population. Okay, it is showing the size of the calling population. So these numbers represent the queuing model. Okay, these numbers are going to represent the queuing model, and each number or each name has got its own physical significance. In the examination, they will directly write this 2, and they will ask that what does this number represent. Okay, they are directly going to write this N, and they are asking that what this N represent or this infinity represent. So you will have to say it represents the size of the calling population. It is going to represent the size of the system. Okay, from our point of view, from our syllabus, we are generally going to study single server model. Okay, single server model in GATE examination. Okay, our syllabus is basically restricted for GATE examination. It is single server model. So it is written M1 FIFO, first in first out, or first come first serve FIFO. It is infinity, and it is infinity. Okay, so we will say that this is the arrival Markovian distribution, this is the service Markovian distribution. Okay, it is single server. These are the service rule, size of the system, size of the calling population. So this represent a single server model. Okay, this represents a single server models where the arrival and distribution both are going to follow the Markovian distribution, that is, and it is a single server. The queue discipline or the service rule is first in first out. The size of the system is going to be infinite, and the size of the calling population is also going to be infinite. So the representation can be done like this. Okay, so it is basically all about the representation of the queuing model. The objective questions are asked from this topic, so you need to remember the name of each and every one, that what A represent, V represent, C represents, okay, D, E and F. Okay, so what is going to be the representation? Okay, what does it represent from the objective point of view? Thank you.